men in black and white, just a couple of yahoos with computers and live streaming capability. So we're going to take full advantage of it. We are from Peekskill, New York. We are longtime friends, basketball teammates. We ran the run and shoot long before it was popular. Brock Ganellis joins us now from the beautiful confines of the Upper Hudson River Valley. Brock, I frequently call the give and go, if you'll remember, the give me the ball and go to hell. That's the offense. That was my favorite play. I enjoyed it. I had a very low shooting percentage, but nonetheless, we won't talk about it. Let's talk about the corruption, though, in the Trump regime, because that's what seems to have people just fired up. I know it's got us fired up. It's in broad daylight. Dumb Don Jr. just got caught, getting 600 million, funneled his way in the form of a loan, which we know Daddy's going to take a piece of. Jared or Jarvanka is back in the mix. Brock, these people are just so fucking greedy. You know, they say that Don Jr.'s wealth has increased like 15-fold since this administration began. So in 1 year, he's made more money than he's made his entire awful, disgusting life. It's a joke.
So we always talk on the policies how like there's racism that underlies almost every policy of Project
Right.
2025 and has just rolled its
Right.
way through the entire, government and
Sure.
society. But the other thing that goes on in parallel with all the racism is this blatant corruption, where you can
Yes.
find corruption embedded in almost every policy and decision that goes on, from the absurdity of these pardons that have gone on. Just so
Oh,
many fucking pardons, drug kingpins, random
what's the
crypto,
word?
fraudsters of retirement homes, like the worst of America, right? And they're just
Right.
getting pardoned left and right, and we just know Trump's getting paid for all this shit. We just haven't been able to track all the money yet, right? Because he's probably getting it
Right.
through crypto. But
Right.
the last 24 hours hit, kind of peak corruption season, because you had Don Jr.'s deal with the magnets, right, where he's getting
Right.
600 million from the Pentagon, right, our tax
Which Trump
dollars
still doesn't
funneled
understand.
into the government, funneled right to Don Jr., and then of course, Donald, you know, the Mad King's taking his share, of course.
Of
But
course.
then
Right on.
you have Jared in the mix somehow with the guys from Paramount getting involved with a Hollywood deal, going head to head with Netflix that also wants to do this deal. So now, what chances does Netflix have of winning? I mean,
Zero.
zero chance. They're just screwed. Like, this is fair trade, fair capitalism in America. Look, I'm not happy with anyone making this purchase, right? To me, it's too much consolidation of media, but that's sort of an antitrust issue. From the corruption issue, of course, yeah, Netflix is screwed, right? Also, the CEO is very much a donor. He was a big donor to
Big
the initiative in California on the new districts.
right.
Gavin's
Prop 50.
gerrymandering. So
Prop
he's
50.
already on the wrong side of Trump, right? So he's fucked. So we don't have real capitalism anymore. And
No.
then somehow we've opened the door where Nvidia can now sell our most advanced AI chips to China. Now, Nvidia's been paying left and right for different shit, right? They've been bribing Trump, ballroom. They're like, their fingerprints are all over
Yep.
inauguration. I can't even follow all the money that they've been funneling out because, of course, they want this deal. More money in their coffers. But how
Yep.
is this possible? I see how it's in Trump's interest. He's getting bribed to make this decision. How
Right.
is this possibly in the national interest of America from a security defense point of view to give away our most advanced chips to what you would argue is our superpower rival?
Biggest nemesis right now. China is the world's largest superpower. Based on this deal alone, they become the world's largest, most sophisticated superpower with weaponry that we're not going to be able to counteract. And Trump doesn't give a shit. Remember, this is America first, right? This is see Brock, you see where I'm going? Right back down my education in the home. It all starts in the home. It all starts with education. I love the poorly educated. This guy's fucking poorly educated. He could give a shit about America. He doesn't care if America gets nuked tomorrow as long as he survives and he's got money to spend. And, I like the old adage, have you ever seen a fucking U-Haul behind a hearse? This guy doesn't give a shit about his legacy. He's just a greedy, fear-mongering SOB that would rob his own family to enrich himself, as he did. See Mary Trump. So, this China deal, these NVIDIA advanced AI chips, and remember, it all started out, with a power play. Yeah, we're going to have to see, what we're going to allow NVIDIA to do. Remember that whole talking point? Now,
and we had to be tough on China. That was the whole, you got to be tough on China.
Yeah. We weren't selling China shit. Now, China has surpassed $1 trillion in their surplus on exports. So China is the world superpower right now.
They've won the battle, and so we slapped a bunch of tariffs on them in essence to exert economic pain on them, to wield our power against them, so they stopped buying our fucking soybeans. So now we got to turn around and we got to bail out the fucking farmers. Of course the farmers were going to get bailed out, but now our taxpayer dollars are now going to go to American farmer socialism. Right. Welfare queens in the farming industry are all about to get cut a check because,
Which welfare queens?
Yeah,
Which ones?
the farmers, the ones on the farms with no workers because all their employees got thrown out of the country. They all voted MAGA, red state farmers. They're going to get their socialism bailout while Doji cuts everything else, right? No money for ACA subsidies, but we got to bail out the farmers because we had a shitty tariff plan because we lost that battle with China. So now we're going to flip around and sell them advanced chips. They're not going to buy soybeans. They're going to buy the most advanced AI chips in the world that they can re-engineer and figure out how to put into weaponry and be coming right back at us down the road. I mean, what the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing as a country?
Absolutely. And Brock, speaking of a country in black and white, right? Remember, the black farmers are not going to get those bailouts.
Oh, of course not.
No. So these are going to be red state white farmers that are going to get the bailout, who've got their hand out now and their red hats on, who are hungry, because a lot of them lost their SNAP benefits, right? A lot of them lost equipment. Think about the equipment that they lost, right? Because they couldn't make payments on those big ass fucking tractors and all the equipment they need to work the farm and to bring home the crops, right? They're not going to be made whole by these bailouts, right? And then what are you going to do? Start, farming soybeans again? Who are you going to sell them to?
Yeah. It hasn't changed the marketplace. This is a Band-Aid.
The marketplace.
It's a Band-Aid. It's just, it's placating them.
It's just to get their vote or their appeasement, when he tries to, crown himself king. And that's the bottom line. And, again, nothing is being said about affordability, although he says he's going out and doing some rally. I hate those fucking rallies. We put those rallies on TV like it's fucking normal, right? Like, what, again, like you just said, what the fuck are we doing?
What are we doing? Look, he could go out and do his rallies, and like his first tactic on affordability didn't work, which was to tell people to stop whining and shut up and that it's a hoax, right? A media created hoax. That didn't work because people still didn't have food and they can't afford their rent. Cars are getting repossessed. So he just lost that argument against the American people. So I guess he's going to try a new, different one when he goes out on the road. I mean, he at least has those political instincts that he'll just move and start a new lie. When the old lie doesn't work, he'll move on to a new lie. But the problem is these issues need policy, well thought out, well structured policy. They don't just get fixed, you know. And he's already exacerbated all our inflation issues, so it's going to take real policy to get it down. A series of policies, and he doesn't
Yeah.
have the team or the patience to do that. So I'm just waiting for another pack of lies.
Yeah, and remember, Brock, you know, he's running the country in 1.0 and 2.0, just like he ran his businesses, right into the fucking ground. You know, he took a $400 million fortune and squandered it. Had nothing to show for it. And we can thank NBC and the people at the Peacock Network for, you know, reinvigorating this fucking, you know, scam artist is basically what he is.
What do you?
Um, yeah, so, you know, again, it's more of the same, you know, smoke and mirrors. You know, he's like the dude in the costume back there pumping the the thing on the Wizard of Oz, you know, and he's behind the fucking
Puffing
curtain.
smoke.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just we keep falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Like when are we not gonna fall for it
Well,
anymore?
when it comes to, like, you know, recans by old Democrats, like,
Right.
where are we on this ACA vote that was promised? The ACA subsidy vote that was promised, for why the 10 senators folded and voted for that continuing resolution that got the government back open. I'm still waiting for that debate. I'm waiting to, like, where's that policy discussion and where's the vote? It'll probably get voted down, but, like, we were promised a vote. I haven't heard squat from Schumer because he's old and tired and lost and not a leader for the moment.
Nope.
And I mean, I dare say, haven't heard shit on the Epstein files
What do we
for
got
a
now?
good 2, 3 weeks. I thought it was like 20 days supposedly that they needed to turn them over. I mean, we got a court ruling, but we haven't heard anything out of the
It's
political
ticking.
class.
Yeah, the clock is ticking, and you know, um, a judge just ruled that we could reopen the Maxwell files. So that just happened. The clock is ticking again, as you mentioned. So we should be, and I think I heard somebody say just a day or two ago that we had like 14, 15 days left for the Justice Department to release everything, right, to the House Oversight Committee. So we'll see. You know, they're not releasing shit, and they're probably in there just, you know, redacting and, you know, blacking shit out left and right. They probably got 1,000 FBI agents in there working, you
Yeah,
know.
supposedly huge man hours. And Trump will lie, like he lied about the video of the bombing of the two guys in the Caribbean, saying, "Hey, yeah, we're gonna, you know, we'll release that video." And then 5 days later, he's like saying, "You know, we never said that video would get released." I mean, he just
You're a
thinks that we're all
nasty
idiots,
reporter.
that we're just gonna buy whatever he says today, that we
Right.
all function in his universe, of which
Demented world.
truth
Yeah.
doesn't matter at all, and whatever you say today is the gospel. So look, we got you know, we got problems as we wait, you know, just more shitty outcomes, right? More
Yep.
corruption, more America slipping on the global stage. I
Yep.
mean, you know, we've now are in essence talking about the unraveling of the European Union, and, like, not having, you know, not seeing a reason for it, right? Musk loves that. He loves to chirp about that, and that
Oh
works
yeah.
its way into American policy.
Right.
So we're leading. Are we leaders of the free world anymore? I would argue
No,
not. There's no way we're
we
leaders
can't
of the
be.
free world.
We can't be. Not with the guy who grew up in apartheid and singing apartheid's praises and infusing it into our fabric of life. No, you, I mean, look at the human rights violations that we've racked up over the past 11 months, right? Like we are war criminals right now. We are human rights abusers, we are the worst of the worst
We're the worst
when
in the
you
world.
talk about America.
I mean, been multiple court cases now where it's been shown that the conditions of which these ICE detainees have been held in have
Oh,
been inhumane, right? They had like those lock boxes at Alligator Alcatraz where people couldn't stand up and couldn't sit down, where you had to be hunched over for hours at a time, and like that's very often just defined as like torture, and
torture,
it's like
right?
we're just nonviolent quote you know, immigrants who
Right.
are here, not documented to, ICE's liking,
Right.
getting thrown immediately into torturous conditions. And there have been a bunch of deaths now at these facilities, which is like, no shit. These facilities are a train wreck. And everyone who gets inside says that.
And this is what they were designed for. They were designed for the cruelty. Look, you can't put one of those lock boxes in someplace thinking you're going to be housing people in it and not realize that it's too fucking small, right? You can, dude. How unsafe was the whole idea of Alligator Alcatraz, right? But they didn't care,
They didn't care.
right? They didn't care. And they didn't care what kind of disease people were subjected to from those huge freaking mosquitoes coming out of the Everglades there. They didn't care about alligators, snake. You know about the python problem in Florida? It's actually huge.
Yeah. And
you
we
know,
know it,
and
Bill.
it's all about cruelty.
Yeah, and these abhorrent conditions that the risk of illness and disease and like just accrues over time. So more and
Yep.
more of these detainees are getting sick, more and more of them are dying. It's like, what are we fucking doing as a country? Like
Yep.
we're so lost right now. I thought there was a little bit of hope in like 48 hours ago. Hope Walls, right, coming out and just seeing some of these younger people just being more aggressive in their language about how they're confronting. From Sabrina Carpenter, right? 24-year-old
Right.
artist, on up, and, I thought that's where the momentum was going. But then you wake up the next day and the next day and you're kind of like, once again, hey,
Happens.
where is
Yep.
everybody? Like, what happened? Why isn't that an everyday thing? Why is it ebb and flow?
You
Um,
know why, Brock? It's because our leadership is not leading us every day. Even the AOCs and the Jasmine Crockett's of the world, like, you know, you need to get a mic in front of you every day. Just take turns. You know, AOC, you got Monday and Friday. Bernie, you got Wednesdays. Jasmine, you got Tuesdays and Thursdays. Come
Well,
on.
Jasmine was out there a little bit, and um, as a segue, a little bit, I was happy to see her throw her hat in the ring to run for the Texas Senate.
Yeah.
And I love what Colin Allred. I mean, it was kind of a power play on her part, basically like, "Hey, it's my turn." And Colin Allred immediately shifted gears, and he's going to run for Congress again, right? Because I don't want him to go away. So I liked that
Oh,
as an outcome. Maybe not his preferred outcome, but like I think he went, probably did a quick, 24 hours of soul searching and said, Jasmine's got the momentum right now. I'm not going head to head with her. Where can I be next most
of
useful, right?
use. Right. And, look, I like that we're playing together as a team, right? Again, two young leaders who understand the moment, right? I don't want anybody running for office who doesn't understand the moment,
Yeah.
right? We don't need any more Garlands, Bidens, et ceteras, who don't understand what we're up against, right? Because their day has come and gone. Joe Biden is dealing with whatever he's dealing with, family, health issues. The man's what, 82? You know, nice job. You did you served your purpose, right? You served your country. We appreciate it. But now, this is a much bigger fight and a much different fight. And we need knife throwers. We need people, spitting fire. We don't need sternly written letters from Chuckles,
Yeah.
right? We
It's
need
fire every day. It's got to be,
yeah,
we got to be coming with fire every day.
every day, every day. And we need these Epstein files because if this is not released, if these files are not released, you are in direct defiance of a congressional subpoena, which is against the law,
Yeah.
which people go to jail for, right? Now, are these people going to go to jail? Because who's going to enforce it? And that becomes the problem again, right?
You're also acting massively against public sentiment
Right.
across all parties. Although they didn't pay the penalty for it in Tennessee 7, right?
No.
They won anyway, right? Yeah, the pendulum swung in 10 points, but they won anyway. So if, unless we penalize MAGA, like they're not going to change shit. So we failed there. There's
Right.
another shot on goal. I guess there's a Miami mayor's race that I had no idea that the mayor of Miami's been a Republican for 20 years, for 20
Which is
straight
amazing.
years. Yeah,
Well, but you think about, the Cuban population
Cubans,
there.
somehow the Cubans are like Republicans because they're fucking socialism. Like they don't even, they're so fucking
Right.
lost about like what's going on. But apparently the Democrat has a chance. I'm hoping like we got to win every situation, everything that goes to the ballot box. We have to win while there's still
Right.
fair elections, and we
Right.
have to keep sending that message to MAGA world so that all these Congress people do resign or
And
step
start going
aside that are
home.
supposedly going to, right? There's been a lot of
Yep.
chatter about how many of them are going to step aside. It's still only been a couple.
Right. And we gotta get these MAGA nut jobs out of here, man. They are worthless. They're nothing but um, you know, highly paid, shills for Donald Trump and rubber stamps. I mean, that's all they do. All they do is wait for Trump to say what he wants to do, and then they say okay, and dare not go against it. Um, you know, any whack job can do that.
Beyond that, it's also how do we exploit it? Oh, let's throw
Right.
more for profit detention centers, kick back to
Right.
Trump, right? Like everything has a hook to it. Oh, we need magnets. Okay, 600 million to Don Jr., right? With a rare earths play, from some
Right.
company he founded 2 weeks ago. So there's always the corruption behind it. So the sycophants are in there for the power, but they're also a part of such a corrupt regime that they're all
Right.
making money on the sly themselves as well. As long as they don't
Right.
make more than Don, they can get away with it, right? But they're all
Exactly.
making money on the sly.
Exactly.
Fucking
And that's the
disgraceful. It's,
problem.
it's fucking we're a kleptocracy. Like,
And yeah, I mean, we got oligarchs running the joint. That's basically what we're doing. How much can you steal while you're in power? And now, I would imagine that the main conversation is how do we keep power? And that may be why some of these, Republicans are stepping off and saying, you know what? I'm not willing to do what we're going to have to do to keep power, because you're talking about canceling elections.
yeah.
What Congress member is going to be able to go home and explain why we canceled the election? None of them.
Yeah, first they're gonna have to
None
go
of
home and explain why people's healthcare costs are up 2 and 3x. So they're not gonna want to do that because they're gonna get screamed at.
them.
If
Right.
they don't totally kiss Trump's ass, they're gonna get primaried. So they're gonna get pummeled by MAGA in a primary. If they make it
Yep.
through that, then they have to go to a general election where they have to justify all these policies that are a disgrace. They're
Yep.
already seeing 10, 14 point swings, so they're probably already underwater, most of these guys in the polling. And then, yeah, they're already looking out to next year, realizing that they're going to, even if they get through that gauntlet, that they're going to lose. And they're going
Right.
to be on board with a president that's not going to want there to be fair elections because they're all going to lose, and they'll have to decide how treasonous are they, right?
Yep. Yep. Exactly. And look, at some point this guy's going to be gone, right? And that's what we need to focus on is getting him gone and then being ready to step in and start
Yeah,
rebuilding
fight the
everything.
next battle behind him because it'll be
Right.
a fractured GOP, which is already starting to happen even with him there. But even as he loses his strength basically and his vigor, his his boat's leaking, right? There's a
Right.
whole but Rand Paul's going after him. Like there's just arguments. Tom Massey wants the Epstein files. Rand Paul wants Hegseth fired. Like MTG's going
Yeah.
on 60 Minutes, trashing him. Nancy Mace is now saying that the party's lost. Like there's a lot of leaks in that boat.
Ooh. Oh yeah.
Trump's not sharp enough to keep it together anymore. But him dying would accelerate sort of the fractures, which hopefully then can give a shitty Democratic Party a chance to like actually win some games.
Right. Right.
Because we don't win against a good opponent, but if we have a a broken opponent, maybe we can win some games.
Maybe we can get something done, which we desperately need at this point
Ah,
because
desperately need. It's the worst
America.
holiday season ever. Like who's spending? Who feels good about anything? Like it's
It's a
fucking
joke.
terrible mood. People getting laid off left and right. No one, no one can afford to buy anything. It's a
It's a
fucked
joke.
up vibe throughout the country.
Man,
Oh,
look, and they think, the answer is just not. We just won't tell them how bad it is.
yeah. Or yeah, we'll bullshit
Right?
them.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna throw some money at him, or Trump's gonna go barnstorming saying we're cutting $2,000 checks or something. Right? He's got to pull something out of his ass to get his approval rating out of the like 35% level. So he could try anything. Going to war is not working. It's a nice diversion of the
Right.
Epstein files, but it's not people
Right.
making people's lives better. Right?
Nope.
TikTok is still flooded with people going on there saying that they're going broke or already went broke or they're going
Right.
homeless or they're on a food line, right? Like
Or
how many
losing their
food,
car.
yeah, how
Right.
many food line videos and or the car becomes the home. Yeah,
Right.
it's a pretty dire situation out there. Mark, I do have few quick hits for you.
Okay. Give them up.
Here's the first one on the lighter side. You see that Australia is kicking in with the new rules that no one under the age of 16 can be on social media.
Yeah, I saw that. It's good stuff. I
I
love
think
it.
it's a great policy. I find it
Love
interesting.
it.
I wonder how it's gonna play out. I like them as like a laboratory for the world. We know social media is detrimental to young minds,
Yep.
and so I just find it a really kind of a ballsy move that they're making here to crack down on that. Because like in the U.S., right, you can't get your driver's permit till you're 16. It's
Right.
kind of like they're treating social media use like driving as potentially, you know,
Hazardous
reckless and
DUI.
violent and hazardous, right?
Yeah. I mean, without question. And, we know that the phones are already troublesome because, kids have access to things that, are not being explained to them. So they are offered no context. And, we know the damage that it does
Yeah,
to the young
we know.
psyche.
And oh, what? And fucking Zuckerberg's known, and he's buried that
And
information for
yeah,
20 years.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I
And
found
so
that one interesting. So
I love it.
we're both on board with a thumbs up to Australia on
Thumbs
that
up.
one.
Ding
Do you have
ding.
one? I have a second one, but do you have one for me?
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel gets a contract extension. How about that?
I'll be the last one standing, right? I mean,
Guess so.
Fallon hangs in there because he stays pretty non-controversial.
Right. But
So
we love
Colbert,
Fallon. I mean, we love Kimmel. I think we'll see Stephen Colbert with his own show. He's probably working on it as we speak,
mhm.
or on another network. Back to back with somebody, some other big hitter, or maybe we see him take the place of a Bill Maher who's worthless.
Lost. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I think that's a big victory for Kimmel. Disney basically, I, I kind of maybe learned a little bit, Bob Iger maybe learned a little bit of a lesson
yeah.
that, you know,
Everything Trump touches,
yeah,
he
rolling
turns.
over doesn't win in the long term, and you're better off
Nope.
just doing what's right and not trying to pander.
Yep.
Um, I hope that was the motivation. I
Right.
mean, Kimmel's good. Why should he not? Why should he not continue? In a normal
Period.
circumstance, of course he would get re-signed.
Right. Right. And they only did a 1 year deal probably just to keep it, low key.
No, I think I saw it was through 27.
Oh,
I
through
think it's 2 years.
27?
I think so. You can
Okay.
check me on that.
Okay. But yeah, What else you got?
Okay, my other one is going to take us into some weird territory.
Uh-oh.
Nick Fuentes,
Oh boy.
like Nazi, what did he call like Groypers? He was like the the nemesis of Charlie Kirk, right? But yet another one of these young guys, 27-year-old guy who has a big online audience of white men, and he's ultra to the right. You know, he's further out there than Trump. Like he's way out there. Happens to be incredibly misogynistic too, always talking down women, right? So he classically is following, his followers are that classic, gamer guy with the headset on who's like, that's his life in the parents' basement.
Right.
So he's on Piers Morgan's show yesterday. And Piers Morgan, who's an asshole, starts hammering him. And apparently, this Nick Fuentes, who's a big figure in MAGA world,
Right.
comes out and says at age 27, he's never had sexual relations with a woman.
With a woman.
Not that he's gay, just he's never had sex. He's on there misogynistic. He's like a woman hater. He's one of those women should shut up. Women should just be in the kitchen. Women should be like seen, not heard. Like he's a very anti-woman voice in the MAGA world.
He's
And
only
somehow Piers Morgan got him to admit at age 27, he's like, they call him incels, right? Involuntarily celibate. Like
right.
that's his life. He's online spitting hate, a lot of which at women, but he's never had like a female relationship in his life at age 27. So to me, I was like, wow, that's the leader of your movement. Like that gets back to when I was thinking like Tim Walz saying like, these people are like, that's just kind of like weird. Like, come on, dude, get out in the world, like make a female friend, charm somebody, like, be be a social being for good. Like, get someone to fall in love with you, fall in love with someone, have human emotions, right? Like, I just found it, I don't know. I don't know how it hits with you, but I just found it like kind of fascinating. This guy's like, with Charlie Kirk dead, he's the biggest figure on the right, spitting that hate to young white males who apparently, a large swath of which shifted over and voted MAGA.
Wow.
Young white males, and he's
I
like
don't
their
know that that's the
leader.
guy I want to follow. You know?
What's that?
I don't know that that's the guy I want to follow. He's all backed up. He's all angry.
He hates
Yeah.
women.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, that's really weird. At 27, he looks like he's 50. Jeez.
There's a lot of
I
hate. There's a lot
wonder
of
why.
hate. A lot of hate bottled up in him, but apparently he's the leader of a movement. He's not just some guy. I
Right.
mean, if he wasn't a good podcaster, he could be just some guy who like commits a murder, like the guy who in Butler, Pennsylvania, or like a lot of these, shooters
Right.
are, right?
Oh,
But anyway, he's one of the leaders of the MAGA movement. I just found it really interesting. I found it sad, but interesting, and just like the fact that he admitted it
right.
in a very public interview with like a Piers Morgan gets big viewership, and that's who the guy is. But that's the leader. That's one of the leaders of the MAGA movement, and that's one of the people influencing young men in America and pushing them to the right. And it's not a surprise that there's a big portion of the MAGA movement that wants to rescind women's voting rights. I mean, that's on
Right.
the table, right? That's
Yeah.
openly discussed.
Oh, yeah. Big time. Big time. So, wow.
So that's what's going on in white America.
Wow. Yeah. In Black America, we're still dealing with the fallout from the Diddy documentary. So if you haven't seen that,
I have
you
not
might want
seen
to
it.
check
It's
it
it's
out.
it's prominent on Netflix.
Yeah.
Is it a must watch? I'm not a Diddy guy. I never liked him even back at the height of his fame or success. I was a you know
I didn't like it. I didn't like him before his fame and success at Howard University. He was running around. He was the guy with the loud music throwing party flyers in New York out of his car. So,
So am I going to want to watch that documentary? Am I going to get anything from it? Like I've resisted so far. I've just seen it and I was like, do I really want to watch Diddy? Is that how I want to spend my time today? And so far the answer's been no, but convince me otherwise.
I think it's interesting from a standpoint of the culture, and how it fit into the culture. Because remember, you had to weave the whole East Coast West Coast feud in there, and they did a pretty good job, if it's to be believed, of telling you how that all started. And Diddy had more to do with it than the public has previously known. So from that perspective, it's definitely a must watch, because that has always, been my issue with the whole industry itself. Why are you having warring factions from record labels? I mean, it makes no sense. Get money. Why are you trying to kill each other? I mean, it just. So, I don't know, but you see the kind of influence that the music has on our society and on our cultural beliefs, in the African American community, and it's bothersome. As a father who had a son who was, moved by the music, and he will tell you so. These guys were not gangsters. They were pretend to be gangsters with real gangsters surrounding them. And that's where the problems lie. So, yeah, man, it is watchable from that standpoint. I would recommend it, because it gives you some insight that we didn't previously have.
Okay.
Yeah, 50 Cent catching a lot of slack for a lot of the strays that are contained in the 4-part series.
Oh,
50 produced it.
yeah. I mean, just too many names in there. Like it should have been redacted, like the Epstein files. Some people
A
are
lot of
mad
names,
that
a
they're
lot of
caught up in it.
allegations. Yeah, a lot of allegations. Janice Combs was calling for retractions. Diddy calling it a hit piece, for clout. Um, you know, so there's been a huge backlash, and on Black radio and Sirius Radio. A lot of people talking about it.
Okay. All right. You convinced me. Four.
All
I can do
right,
4 episodes of Diddy. All right. I'll take a look at that.
cool.
You got me.
All right, bro.
All right.
Let you
Good
rack it
stuff.
up.
Always
Do
a
it again
pleasure.
tomorrow.
All
Yes,
right. Check
sir.
in with you tomorrow. Take
Sounds
care.
good.
Bye.
Peace.